Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to round number 5 of the F123 Esports World Championship. As you can see, Spa-Francorchamps in full wet conditions at the moment at the start of Q1. And yeah, we've had quite a few wet sessions already. This is the second time in a row actually. I think Austria we didn't have any though, and then obviously Jeddah and Bahrain we didn't have any either, but 2 in a row now where it's been wet at the start of Q1. Lots of fun though. I do love a little wet session or a wet to dry or dry to wet session. I love these changeable conditions. So yeah, we are about to finish our first Q1 lap. Across the line we go. It is a 1:54.2, 4 tenths faster than Nicolas Longuet in front of us on track. And yeah, that was a solid lap. We ended that in P3, I think so. I'm not sure if the 2 ahead of us did that lap time on intermediates or not, but we are here. And as you can see, it's drying up. We have gone on to intermediates. Now, Q2 and Q3 are going to be dry, so we can just use up our tires, our wet tires, if needed. And as you can see, into turn 1 a little bit wide there. But we did carry decent momentum onto the exit. So Freddie Rasmussen with a 51.190 there, and we're gonna try and beat that, of course, with the drying track. That's gonna help, of course, as well. So yeah, long straight, of course, half a second up to our full wet lap time. Of course, we did a 54.2 on that one, and that means we need to improve by 3.1 seconds to our delta in order to beat Freddie Rasmussen his lap time, which is P1 at the moment. So yeah, of course everyone is gonna have to improve here. That wet lap time we did at the start was just to get warmed up in these wet and slippery conditions, and that just helps you a little bit for the intermediates. For the intermediate runs, like this one for example, even though they are different tire, they do respond differently, they do feel differently. Even if inters and wets will be the exact same pace on a wet track, they still feel completely differently. As Danny, our teammate, goes to P1 by 4 tenths of a second to P2. So it looks like we've got the pace at the moment, and you can see we're already 3.1 seconds up. So we're gonna be going at least P2 here at the moment, unless anyone else goes faster than us, of course. Or than Danny, of course. So yeah, into the last corner we go, and yeah, you can see in the top right there's only 5 minutes remaining. And on my push lap I remember asking the engineers 2 or 3 times if I had to come in, was there gonna be enough time, because I was questioning if there was gonna be enough time. And yeah, I just got told we were easily gonna make it. And yeah, now looking back at it, I should have just boxed. I should have listened to my own instincts. And yeah, that was a mistake on my part. Because yeah, you can see we are cutting the track, trying to still make this a lap, but it is way too late. Even in dry conditions, I reckon it would have been incredibly tight. Because you have to warm up your tires so much. You can see I didn't warm up my tires at all. I just straight went for it. You can see I'm just cutting the track because I was just desperately trying to make it. I reckon if we would have made it, we would have gotten a penalty as well, but because you're obviously not allowed to cut the track like we did. But yeah, at that point I didn't care. We were going to be last anyway, I felt like. You can see we're P3 at the moment, 2 people behind us. Our teammate didn't make it as well in the end. So yeah, we're 2 people safe at the moment, but yeah, obviously every single other person is gonna go faster than us, or at least unless we are incredibly lucky and 3 other people that are below us invalidate. But that was obviously not the case, because they were told as well, you know, you can take it safe. Ismail Fassi didn't make it as well, and yeah, that means everyone could just take it safe. And we are out in Q1 here, which was so frustrating, because me and Danny knew that we were going to be so incredibly fast in the dry here. We were fast in the wet as well, as you can see. But yeah, This is just so frustrating. Just a mistake on the engineering part, on the strategy team part, and yeah, that just happens, you know. At the end of the day, I could have just driven into the pit box myself as well, but I didn't, and that's just a lesson learned for the future. I need to trust my instincts more. So yeah, onto the race we go. We're going to be starting in P16 after penalties. I think we're P17 in the actual session, so it's lights out and away we go. We're going to be starting on the mediums again. Now remember, in Silverstone it worked really well, but is it going to work from the back of the grid? It doesn't work on all tracks, but we're starting in P16 anyway. Who cares? We have to take some risk, but after turn 1 we're already up to P14 as there was a crash straight away off the line. As I'm trying to get a good run here out of Oruj and Radion on the cars ahead of me. But yeah, everyone is getting slipstream. Everyone is using the battery, of course. We got a tiny bit of straight line speed advantage here into Lecom. We got Danny on our outside. He is just using up his space, because if he doesn't, he will get overtaken by the car behind. And I know that, so I leave him the space on the outside and into next right-hander we go. And yeah, that was not very ideal. That was 100% to blame on me. Wilson didn't completely take a normal racing line, which I thought he was going to do, so I sent it down the inside. I thought he was going to turn in, so I put full brake force trying to back out of the move, but then he still left space, so complete misjudgment on my part. I was just not committed enough. I think if you go for moves like that, you have to be fully committed, and I just didn't. It was just a huge mistake on my part, and somehow, yeah, Wilson lost 2 positions. We lost a position to Danny, but somehow none of us got damage. Me and Wilson got out of it unscathed. I tried to push him back straight, so we both could stay in the race. Somehow we didn't get damage. Incredibly lucky for the both of us. Of course we lost a little bit of time, but we can continue. There's a bit of front wing there in turn 1. Not sure from Moore, but yeah, getting wing damage in a race like this means instantly race over. And yeah, believe it or not, we did not get a penalty for that. I think in the opening laps the stewards are always a little bit more lenient, and the fact that we could both continue maybe helped as well. But yeah, little angel on our shoulder there that we didn't get a penalty for that, because yeah, looking back at it, I think we should have. Maybe not a very harsh one. I think obviously the result of an incident matters. I think if we would have completely spun out Wilson and his race would be over, it should be a harsher penalty. But yeah, we got very lucky there to not even get a penalty point for it, for example. But yeah, we have to get on with the race now. P13 it is. As I said, very lucky to even still be in this race. And now lap 6, we are ahead of John Evans. He's on the softs. He started in P9, but couldn't make any inroads on anyone, and then just struggled a little bit for pace. Once his tires started dropping, we're on the medium, so we're gonna go for the move here down the inside. And yeah, we have incredible straight line speed, as you can see there, even relative to our teammate Danny Bresnay. Yeah, I just love lower wings. Even in qualifying, I'm always lower wings relative to my teammates. And yeah, I just love it. And yeah, in qualifying it makes me more comfortable, gives me more pace, gives me more consistency. But then in the race it helps as well, of course. Now the tire wear does increase on lower wings, but I think my driving style just massively helps with the tire wear. As you can see, we get past our teammate there, and I straight away wanted to go for a move on Brendan there into La Chicane, but decided to back out of it. Didn't want to cause another incident. But yeah, of course the downside of the lower wings is the higher tire wear, and especially when you're going for a medium soft strategy, that is just incredibly risky. But my driving style just kind of allows it. Usually I'm always really good on the tires in the race, and yeah, that just helps with scenarios like this. And of course the difficult thing is as well to keep the pace up on lower wings when the tires are starting to go down. That was such a hard skill on this game. Yeah, just having pace in general on lower wings is quite hard. But yeah, as I said, usually I went faster on lower wings. So, for example, my teammate or teammates didn't like it as much in race conditions as me. So yeah, they usually went for a little bit higher wings, because obviously if you're going to be a lot slower on lower wings, there's no point in putting lower wings, because even though there's going to be traffic, if you're going to be 2 tenths further back every lap, then yeah, you're not getting past anyone. So it doesn't work for everyone. It isn't that simple. If you're asking why do they not just put lower wings, it's just, yeah, a little bit more complicated than that. So lap 12 now, still on the mediums. Ismail Fassi and Jet Norgrove on the mediums as well. We're up to P5, but that's because a lot of people have boxed already. You can see in the bottom left, you can see the track map. There's a solid 8, 9, maybe 10 people that have boxed already, as we're trying to go for a move on Ismail Fassi into the Lecombe section, trying to send it a little bit down the inside, but Ismail did the same, send it down the inside of Jet into Lecombe, and we couldn't go for a move. Now, used a bit of a battery there, and because Danny let us go early on in the stint, in order for me to try and make some moves, we're just going to give him the position back. You can see he has more pace now because our mediums have started to drop off, and yeah, he gave us the favor early on. We're going to pull out of the racing line and let him go, as Ismail gets a big snap of oversteer there. I think a little bit of contact with Jet Norgrove through Puon, and yeah, now we've got Danny right behind him. Now Danny on the hards, of course, so he's gonna have more pace than those two guys ahead of him, but he's planning to box at the end of this lap, and that's why I let him go, because it might just help him a tiny bit. I'm gonna be stuck behind Ismail anyway, and yeah, it might help him undercut, for example, that McLaren that's going into Lecombe, into the bus stop in a moment. That's Lucas Blakely in the McLaren. We've got Wilson trailing by around 4 seconds. He's dropped out of the DRS there, but you can see everyone ahead of us boxing. I decided to stay out. That was the original plan anyway, to stay out and go onto softs late on, and yeah, just try and make as much moves as possible in those last 2 laps. That's this whole strategy, trying to do something crazy. You can see tire wear 70% after 14 laps. We are boxing. We've got Freddie Rasmussen in P2, only 7.3 seconds behind us, so we've got quite a bit of catching up to do on these soft tires. We had to box here because we were going to run into puncture risk if we stayed out another lap. Not to mention, we would have lost a lot of lap time because these softs easily make it from here. I think they can do around 11 laps. So yeah, you can see the computer saying estimated life 10 laps. It should be around 11 if you really try your best. But out we go. In P13, we got Wilson huge behind us. Using a bit of a battery there, but he's 1.6 seconds behind us, 1.5, 1.4. And yeah, he's going to be using his battery to try and get into our DRS, so he can kind of hook up to the back of us. Now he's just going to let that happen because, first of all, I kind of wanted to help him a little bit after shunting him off the road in the opening lap, as a little help. Even though his race didn't really get ruined, which I think, yeah, was nice. And at the same time, we are just saving our battery for when the traffic hits. So knowing that Wilson was not going to be a huge threat, boxing a lap earlier than us onto the mediums, we're going to have a lot more pace. Now, as you can see, end of lap 17, there's going to be 5 more laps of racing, and we are already in P12 on a fresh set of softs. Now, those in-laps on the mediums were crucial. Our pace was crucial there. We go around the outside, which turns to the inside for the next one on Nicolas Longe. He was flashing, so that means he doesn't have any battery remaining. Now, I wanted to give him a little bit of space because I knew he got caught up in incidents, and I knew he might have been frustrated. So he went for a little dive home into turn 1 there. I left him the space. But yeah, he didn't do anything crazy. It was all fair game. And yeah, this is just a moment of our straight line speed. We did not use any battery there. And we just got passed on pure pace, I think so. I'm not sure if Ismail just let us go or what he did, but I think that might have actually been a genuine difference in straight line speed. And yeah, we've just created a rocket ship for this race, and it came in handy at the end of the day because we needed it. You got Jet Norgrove and Thomas Ronhard, both on 3-second penalties. Now, if those stand, they're both going to be out of the points. So, yeah, those are going to be pretty much free positions. And you can see we still got more grip than Jet ahead of us. He's on the softs as well, but he boxed at the end of lap 12, of course. So we've got 2 lap fresher softs, and we are on the back of him already. So let's see if we can make some moves here into the last sector. 70% battery, so we are going to be running a little bit low if we use a lot here, trying to pass both Jet and Thomas. And you can see straight away past the second we turn on the overtake button, and we're going to get a nice little bit of slipstream into the bus stop chicane as well. Now, I didn't want to waste my battery in order to go for a failed overtake, so I wanted 100% guarantee for an overtake, and that's why I turned off the overtake. That was a poor corner for me. I think I was scared that Ismail was going to send it down the inside. We're going to do that at Thomas into turn 1. He locks up slightly, which opens the door a little bit more for us. And yeah, we're going to turn on the overtake button once again and go for a move. And we're going to try and overtake Brandon Lee straight away on this straight. We're going to turn on the overtake button once again. And we're going to be passed before we open the DRS. And up to P7 we go. This has not been too shabby of a race so far. 4 laps to go. But our tires have hit the cliff now, the first cliff. And yeah, that basically slows you down by around a second per lap, maybe more on a track like this. But you can see we still have a huge grip advantage to our teammate Danny Bresnay as we're trying to get the power down. Danny, of course, on the mediums. And he only boxed lap 12 as well. So a lot of people who boxed in lap 12 went to softs or mediums. I think Danny was one of the only ones to mediums, and that's just good for him, because remember you saw Jet and Ismail behind us. They were on the softs, and Danny got past them on the mediums, and that means he's only going to get faster from here on relative to everyone ahead. We're going to be struggling on tire wear. We've got Brendan right behind us on the mediums as well. I think he boxed lap 12 as well together with Danny, so he's having a stellar race as well. He didn't fight us too hard because he knew the insane straight line speed we had, and I think he just picked the right battles at the right time, and that's what helped him forward so much. So yeah, Danny's still trying to get past Tom Manley here. I think he's gonna have a little go into turn 1, and yeah, a little send in turn 1. Not really a send, he actually was side by side already. Little bit overshot the corner there in turn 1, and yeah, they are straight away back on the overtake button. I decided not to do that and just do the exact opposite. If they would have not been on the overtake button, I would have been. So yeah, I decided to save the battery up, and you can see they pulled a big gap in sector 1, but by the time we get to the end of sector 2, we are straight back on them, and I'm gonna go on the attack on Tom Manley here out of this right-hander. A little bit of slipstream, a little bit of the lower downforce coming in clutch, lower wings I should say, and you can see Tom Manley is flashing. We still got 40% battery. We're gonna go around the outside in Blanchimont. We got pushed a little bit wide, but we managed to keep the car on track and make the move stick. Tom goes around the outside again in this right-hander. I can't really break deep because I've got Danny ahead of us, and a little bit off a touch there, and that caused me to wheel spin a little bit out of the final corner, but again, we made the move stick. P6 it is, and yeah, just from so far back on the grid, that's just a great result, especially after the opening lap incident, which cost us quite a bit of time. Definitely dropped us back by around 2 seconds, having to defend a little bit from Brandon there, which is not too hard for us with the wing level we're running. We're braking a little bit in the middle just to cover off any move from Brandon, and we're gonna go into the final lap of this race. Now, Danny on the mediums, Josh on the softs. Josh obviously gonna start to struggle more and more on those softs, and I reckon Danny has quite a decent pace advantage here, so I'm just gonna sit back here, let Danny do his thing, and see what he can get, using a bit of my battery there just to get close, in case anything does happen up front. We cannot use I think 60% battery just on the last straight in the last sector anyway, so yeah, we might as well stay close. And that battery will recharge, of course, through the middle sector. Might use a little bit of our battery just to make sure we stay close. And try to optimize our lap time throughout this lap, just to make sure we're absolutely on it in case something happens. Because, yeah, you can see up front, P1 and P2 are very, very close together, and we want to be there if any fireworks do kick off. Through pool 1 we go, you can see we cannot quite keep up with Danny in the middle sector, and that's just because we're running so much lower wings. Plus the fact that I think our softs might be slower at this point. We've gone for such an aggressive strategy, and it worked. Danny's strategy worked as well, to be honest. We both had great pace, and I think if you've got great pace, that obviously helps with any strategy. You can even make a bad strategy look great if you've got phenomenal pace. But you can see Danny's closing in on Joshi Do up front, and he's gonna go for it, but there were some late defensive moves there. Danny can't find a way through, still goes down the inside into the final chicane. We're gonna set up a switchback here on both cars. I get a little bit of oversteer, unfortunately, and we just about didn't get Josh. Now, Danny did let us go there to help us in the Drivers' Championship, so yeah, we did not out-traction him. We did not, I think, would have gotten him without him lifting. He was obviously flashing, but I think, yeah, we would have definitely not gotten past without him lifting. So yeah, he helped us with an extra 2 points in the Drivers' Championship, which might make the difference in the end of the day. Danny knows that he's not in the fight for the championship anyway, because he's not driving all races this event. And yeah, he knows that if he can help a little bit, he will. So yeah, big shout out to Danny for helping us there. Very disappointing race, of course, because I think we showed, both me and Danny, this race, that our pace was incredible on this track. And yeah, instead of maybe finishing 1-2 or 1-3 or 2-4, you never know, of course, what would have happened. But I'm confident it would have been better than P5 and P6. And yeah, that's just so frustrating. But yeah, it is what it is. We just have to keep pushing like crazy. You can see Thomas Ronhaar, who was leading the championship, out of the points. And that's for 2 races in a row now, where he got very little points. I think he finished P8 in Silverstone. But yeah, it just can turn around so quickly in a series that's this close. No one is going to be completely faultless. And yeah, I think we've seen that today with us. But also with Thomas, who's leading the championship. And I think Freddie has overtaken Thomas now. If not, we've closed in a lot in the championship in these past 2 races. Even though with completely messed up Spa, we are right there up in the championship fight. All of a sudden, even though these past few races felt like they were so bad, we've just been picking up the points. Of course, Silverstone was a big point haul, but today again as well, after such a simply shit qualifying, we're still picking up 11 points because we got the fastest lap again. So 37 points in the past 2 races. Solid result, even though it doesn't feel like it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Ciao.